the club that I grew up at in Dallas, Bentry Country Club, had a Masters party every year, and they invited me to go. And they would pick, the dark horses, the past champions, the young guys under 25. They'd have all these different categories, and it was a lot of fun. My dad always did it, and he always picked my brain to do it. And we did okay a couple of years, but it was always a lot of fun just to kind of sit there and see these guys analyzing every single aspect they possibly could to try to win.
If you were to advise a casual golf fan who wants to do a little extra homework just for fun before locking in their picks, what's a particular golf stat they may want to look at before making their picks? Like what's one that really tends to loom large at Augusta National?
Yeah, I mean, I think the part that's so great about Augusta is that anybody can win there. I mean, you've had guys that haven't hit it far. You've had guys that have, hit it a mile like DJ and they've won. I think the general one that I believe has been one that over the years has really been a good one has honestly been the guys who've been great iron players.
I've read that strokes gained approach to green is super important, and you do well in that stat too. Is that true? Is strokes gained approach to green a big deal at Augusta?
I think it is, especially when it comes to, like I said, like you could be on some holes out there, like I'm thinking of number 7, where, the pin's on the front right, always on Sunday. And it, comes down to, the bowl. And, some guys might, miss that bowl and have 40 feet and they're just begging for a 2-putt. They know that they're going to have 8 or 9 feet. But, the reality is like the great iron players will they get it around the hole. They miss it in the right spots. And, you'll see crazy things like, Adam Scott on 7, 1 year out of the left rough, he's a great iron player, barely catches that hill, runs all the way down the hole. And it takes about 25, 30 seconds for the ball to go in from the fairway. And so, great iron players typically have the best chances out there just because they can miss it in the right spots. And, just the few times where you might get lucky and, like Adam, just catches a ridge and goes down and goes in.
I wonder if you took a look at your own projections. I know they just came out today. I'm curious if you're going to look, or would you rather not because it may get in your head, like how you're going to do compared to others? Because it's
I mean, projections are projections. I mean, I saw them.
Okay.
I was obviously it just depends on the firmness of the greens and the wind. Last year was obviously my first year, but everyone was talking about how firm it was. Especially after the November Masters that they had, they wanted to make it as firm as they possibly could. But yeah, like I said, it just depends on, the difficulty of the golf course. And honestly, when it comes down to the wind and, how firm it plays, the harder and firmer, the better for me.
You finished in the top 15 4 times already this season. When fans make their Masters picks, do you think overweighting contenders like you who are coming in hot can be a sound strategy? Like just looking at how they're doing, like recency bias, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, no question. I mean, you could even look at, how Scotty's been playing. Scotty obviously has been on a tear the last few, I guess, really, I mean, he's been on a tear for a few years now, but, the last few months, especially, and that's kind of the beauty of what IBM Watson has been doing is it's been analyzing, the millions of articles that are out there and, the projections that have come out. They've taken 120,000 golf shots over 6 years out there. And I think that's, the recency bias for sure. I mean, anyone who's coming in hot to Augusta, they're obviously excited and, especially just showing up, no matter how you're playing is exciting, but, you can't fake your way around that golf course. I mean, it is decently wide off the tee, but at the same time, any little mistake or maybe you barely hit one off of number 5, you're hitting 3-iron in instead of 6-iron, and that's a massive difference. But definitely coming into Augusta hot really gets you going, having confidence going into that place, because like I said, you can't fake your way around there.
Okay, you finished second last year with this huge Cinderella story, but you're no longer a Cinderella story. You're now on the radar. Does that change your mental approach at all and maybe add more pressure, or is it less pressure because you've shown what you can do here already and you know what you're capable of?
Yeah, I think, kind of what I've said is everyone starts at even par. Of course, I would love to say that, hey, I've got an edge or, I know how to play that place, but, it's anyone's ball game at this point. You know, what happened last year happened last year. And, um, I think that having success there, you can rely on past experiences, obviously helps. But, um, you know, my dream is to always been to win a major. And obviously, all the kids growing up, they hole a putt on the practice putting green, not to just win a major, but to win the green jacket. And I think that, coming in every single year at Augusta, you got nothing to lose. I mean, like I said, this has been a dream of mine to, hopefully one day have a green jacket. And so I think that that's, for me, it's exciting. I mean, there's no pressure and, there's no added pressure just because I had a good year last year. I can rely on the good experiences that I had to hopefully make another good run.
If someone was looking for the next Will Zalatoris, so they're looking for a dark horse that could be a contender, what should they look for when choosing a long shot?
I think we've kind of touched on the two. I mean, I think a great iron player, and then, obviously how they've been playing lately. There's guys like Cameron Young, who I played with in college. It's his first Masters coming up, and the guy hits it an absolute mile. He's a great iron player, and he's a tremendous putter. And so, obviously, if you can do those three things, you're probably going to win pretty much everywhere. But especially at Augusta, like I said, every aspect of your game has to be on that week. So definitely the recency of it, and obviously being a good ball striker is going to give you the most amount of chances. And from there, it's just trying to dial it up on the fastest and best greens we played anywhere, really anywhere in the world.
You've had 3 top 10 finishes in majors already. Why do you think you play so well on the biggest stages?
I think it's a good question because I love playing tough golf courses. It fits my game with the ball striking for sure. I think that the more chances I give myself, obviously, especially in the majors, more birdie looks I have, obviously, the better I'm going to play. And the weeks where the putter gets hot, that's why I've been able to contend. And thankfully in the majors, that's typically, you've got to have distance because it's going to help with, coming into those long par fours that we have. I mean, I know 11's had some added length, 15's had some added length. And, like last year, I think I hit 7, 6, and 5 iron when I was able to go for 15 and 2. Now it's going to be a little bit longer, but that still favors me because, okay, maybe I'm hitting 3, 4, or 5 now, as opposed to some of the other guys that are going to be hitting, woods in. So I still have the chance of holding that green.
Rory and DJ are now the oldest top 10 players in the official world rankings. Do you think that you and your age cohort are now poised to dominate? I mean, the old guys aren't going to go to pasture anytime soon, but do you think that now is your generation's time?
Yeah, and I think honestly, you kind of have to blame Tiger for that because we saw him dominate. He's pretty much, if you think about it, he won the Masters the year after I was born, and then he won the Masters, I guess, 3 years ago. So, we've watched him win at, when he was 21 years old, and we've watched him win when he was over 40. So I think that watching guys do that has obviously, or watching him do that has obviously motivated guys and given them belief that they can do what he's done. But on top of that, Scotty Scheffler and I are fortunate enough to grow up with Jordan, and that 2011 graduating class, they came out firing and they won, basically a lot of them won immediately. And so when you see your peers do that, I think it only gives you confidence that you can do what they're doing.
I was wondering about, because you were on the 2017 Walker Cup team with a ton of pros, including Scheffler. Are those guys your best buddies on tour? Like, is there like a fraternity of people from that team?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get a chance to represent your country and, the gravity of, we were really kind of taught what it means to represent your country. We had George W. Bush come in and speak to us at a lunch prior to the tournament. Obviously, he's got some family history with the Walker Cup. That means so much. And those guys, we play practice rounds together all the time. We relive memories. I mean, I was talking about it at Bay Hill with a couple of guys. We were kind of reliving some funny memories that we had on that team. But like I said, seeing guys like Cameron Champ and Colin come out and win immediately on court, for Cam from Corn Ferry to the PGA Tour already winning a few times, and then Colin obviously being one of the best players in the world, now Scotty being the best player in the world. It's fun for us, and at the same time, from the outside looking in, you see a young guy who's man, he's on fire, he's playing great. But it's like we've seen it for the last, I've seen Scotty do it for 16 years. And all the other guys, Doc Redman's another example where he goes from having no status to finishing second in Detroit. Now he's been on the PGA Tour for 3 or 4 years or however long it's been. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, being around your friends that they come out and they be successful. It only gives you confidence that you can do what they're doing.
Um, Speaking of that, though, predictively, would you think it's much more likely that a 20-something wins the Masters this year or a 30-something?
I mean, the trend is definitely heading towards younger. I at the same time, I mean, we've seen the thing about Augusta is, we've seen guys win in their 15th try, or 20th try, or even more. I mean, and so I think the Masters, especially, that's what makes it so fun is, you're, Tiger Woods wins it in his 20, what was that? His 26th or 24th appearance, maybe, depending on the injuries, give or take. And, then I'm contending in my first. And so I think definitely the trend is heading younger, but, especially at Augusta, you never know.
You're a Golden State fan, right? Do you have any predictions for how Curry and crew fare in the NBA playoffs? They seem to be back.
Yeah, and I mean, they need Draymond to, obviously he's their guy to, kind of facilitate. Clay has been showing some signs of life, and they've got a pretty young core, and I think it just depends on how healthy they get. When Steph's on, he's the best player in the world. I mean, no one can stop him, and so I think it's a lot of fun to obviously watch them play. But I think this year the injuries, it's been tough, but their young core that they've got, once Kuminga keeps getting better and better. And obviously Jordan Poole put up 30 the other night. And, it's fun to watch. And on top of that, we got some guys on that team that are pretty good golfers. So it's kind of hard not to watch and see how they're doing.
One last IBM question. You think one day the same predictive analytics that allow this projections technology will tell you with mathematical certainty, like in any situation, hit this club, not that club?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, the beauty of what, the data that we've gotten, especially with IBM Watson is, they're now able to look at the projections of, difficulty of conditions and pin locations. And, obviously right now it's built for some more of the fantasy and for the, for the fan or the patron, I guess. But, in reality, that's stuff that down the road, like, absolutely. Like we'll be looking at that. Like last year using the Masters app on my end, Saturday, Sunday, I was watching how guys were playing certain holes and seeing what clubs they were hitting and seeing the reactions of balls on greens and, see if there's trends and some mistakes that guys are making or whatever it is. And so, now down the road, that's absolutely something that we'll be seeing. And, I'm a big stats guy. I mean, obviously, I get asked a lot about decade golf and growing up, with Scott Fawcett being a friend. The more analytics, the better. I mean, I use a lot of analytics when it comes to how to play golf courses. And, depending on pin locations, there's multiple guys now that are stats guys that are helping players. So really the more information we get, I think it's absolutely will be, trust me, if I can get IBM Watson to tell me that, hey, on 16, you're going to be hitting 7-iron instead of 6-iron, I think it'll take a lot of stress off my caddy and I.
Last question. What celebrity are you most often mistaken for these days?
I mean, I'm still getting a lot of the Happy Gilmore's caddy. I keep getting Owen Wilson a lot. But I've been getting more and more of especially the Happy Gilmore's caddy. And the part that I get a lot of joy out of is especially when I'm after a round, if I'm signing autographs, like a group of friends are together and there's maybe a guy who kind of looks like me and they're like, hey, it's your twin. And it always cracks me up because it's like their friend is so embarrassed to like say anything. And I'm like, come on, man, let's go take a picture. This is hysterical. So, I embrace it just because I've gotten so many different comparisons and, but definitely Happy Gilmore's caddy, I think is definitely the one I'm getting the most.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Will.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.